Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone? Streaming. God, just fucking. Oh, Jesus Christ. Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone? Carmine is maybe because he's like, oh, you're such an old man with your technology and shit, and it's like, it's fucking not my fault that the world um does all this bullshit. Like, for instance, just a second ago, you were like, oh, your mic fucked up. I'm sorry. That was my phone automatically trying to fucking pair with my computer when I don't want to do that. And it's like all this shit. Like, if I'm carrying my wife's phone and my phone, both phones immediately are like, share a contact list. You're just like, fucking stop it. Like, what is technology doing? Like, it's so much fucking harder. And it's not me being like old man screaming at the cloud. They need to stop adding useless fucking functions to bullshit. Like, when did I want my fucking phone to suddenly like auto sync to my fucking computer? Oh, but the latest update added this and this. Anyway, it pisses me off because like right beforehand, I'm like, Carmine, call in. And he's like, I'm not. It's not working. And it's just fucking.
I love you.
I know. I gotta fucking do this fucking mic because the mics are fucking up. Mics are fucking up. Jesus Christ. Anyway, get me right off angry at the beginning. But like none of this technology like is making anyone's life better. Like no one's sitting there going, oh, thank goodness I can just take two phones and put them next to each other and sync their contact list. Like no one fucking ever wanted that. People do want to fucking carry two phones at once and like not be fucking bothered by shit. They're so fucking dumb, man. Ah. Like just let me fucking like change my mics. Don't automatically do this syncing shit. Fucking let me do it. Anyway, fucking A. So, Ice and Fire, Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Carmine, what'd you think of the episode?
It's a good episode. I quite liked it. Every episode gave us more to talk about. The first two was just setting everything up, and but no, episode 3 gave us a lot to think about. I don't know if you saw my review, but
I did. I did see your review. My feelings on it are it's a great episode, but it's kind of like Dazed and Confused. Have you seen Dazed and Confused?
I know the references. I'm not seeing the full movie, but I know the.
So Dazed and Confused is kind of famous for being a movie that doesn't really have much of a plot. I mean, there's a very small, weak story where like one character has to decide whether he's gonna like sign a sports pledge that he's not going to do drugs or something, and he's just like, but that would be lying. And everybody's just like, dude, I'm just signing it. It doesn't mean anything. And all the teachers are like, it doesn't mean anything. And then he's just like, well, why do I have to sign it? And then he doesn't sign it in the end. But that's not what the movie is about. The movie is just about teenagers hanging out for 2 hours, right? And that's kind of this episode. They're just hanging out. Like they're just hanging out for a whole fucking episode, not doing anything. And it's great, but they're literally just killing time. Like it's a killing time, Dazed and Confused episode is what I'm saying.
They're hanging out and having philosophical conversations about a woman who had 3 fingers that would pleasure men in their ass.
Right. So there are a lot of problems with the episode, like logic-wise, continuity-wise, but I still think it's a good episode. But yeah, so much that it doesn't make any sense. Like so much. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like,
where do you want to start first? The Targaryen stuff or the prophecy?
Well, I mean, let's start chronologically. Okay. So we start with Egg doing his training. his training scene, which is fine, but somebody was like, why did he even bring the fucking horse? Like, he's just running around like with a lance, being like, here you go. And how is he controlling the horse? Like, why isn't Thunder like running off? Like, I don't know what he's doing. But he's it's still fun, but you are right. Like, how did he keep the horse from running off, and what the fuck is he doing? But it's fine. At least he's treating the horse better in this episode. Like, they started the episode and the horse didn't have a bit in, which is good. That the horse slept without a bit, and then he uses a halter to bring it around rather than reins and stuff like that. I mean, he's I have no complaints on the horse handling. But why did he even bring the horse? I don't know. And then Riesling shows up, and a lot of people are like, because Riesling has one eye, like, is there a Bloodraven connection to Riesling? The problem
That's
is
not the only. That's not the only Bloodraven theory from this episode. Which surprised me. We'll get to that.
We'll get to him. But here's Riesling with his futuristic fucking eye patch and shit. Like, I guess leather wasn't good enough. Leather wasn't good enough for him. Riesling, people are like, oh, is it a Bloodraven reference? Well, he does predate Bloodraven. Like, he predates the advent of Bloodraven. So, maybe you could think someone retroactively is going to make him into Bloodraven, but he doesn't do anything prophetic. He doesn't say anything prophetic. He doesn't. He joined. If you've read the short story, he joins the trial by combat, but it's nothing. It's nothing. That's really like Bloodraven needed. We also get his eye getting gouged out as like the shocker of the episode, so we can have a shocker gross out scene every episode. And then we get back, and it's like it's a fun connection between Dunk and Egg here, whether they're talking about pubes or he's singing random songs about Blackfires. But it doesn't really make sense that Dunk is like, that he's like, oh, you can't challenge today. Like that, like we already established last episode that those were the first challenges. So like Egg being like, you can't challenge today. You don't have right to first challenge. Like they just had the first fucking challenges last night. And Dunk clearly says, like, on the morrow, you're going to find out who I am. And Egg doesn't say anything. He just goes to bed. Like, if Dunk was saying something improper, he would have been like, but you can't challenge tomorrow. You mean the day after. Like, he would have interrupted him then. But, so it doesn't really make sense that Dunk can't challenge today.
Bro, who makes these fucking rules? Is there like a board we can see the rules? That's so ridiculous.
I mean, that's the thing, is every joust has its own rules, but they already established, like he's telling rules that go against what we've seen. Like we've already seen the first challenges. Like that was the night joust. Like they all had their first challenges. So he can't be like, oh, you can't challenge, like you can't do it. You don't have the right to first challenge. Like we already had that. So, I mean, it's fine. In the book, in the short story, Dunk is just waiting until, a weak person kind of shows up that he can challenge. And that hasn't really happened, like he doesn't want to be a first challenger because he's like, oh geez, those guys are too tough. And he's like hoping that one of like the big guys is going to get knocked out by a weak guy and then he can challenge the weak guy. Like that's Dunk's entire plan in the short story. So, he's just not doing that here. I don't know, but it's But nonetheless, we have it so that we can have them hang out for an episode, right?
Their hangout
Um,
was great. They had some egg sandwiches.
yeah, they had egg sandwiches. They talked about eggs pubes. Um, you remember that?
Yeah.
He insults Dana the Defiant quite a bit here in his little song. It's a fun little song, but I mean, it's like the childhood bus, like riding the bus kind of song. Like Miss Susie had a steamboat, the steamboat had a bell, the steamboat went to heaven, Miss Susie went to hello operator. You know that, you did school buses, right, Carmine? You know what I'm
No,
talking about?
actually, I've never
Oh,
ridden the school bus, nor do I know that song.
oh, um, opening night was setting up the first five champions. Next day are the rich guys' days. Plus, it makes a good punchline about Dunk being nervous. I'm not saying it's not a good joke, but no, the opening night is not setting up the first five champions. Like, um, they have the defending champions, they had the challenges, and at least, I mean, the idea is that Leo Tyrell, not Leo Tyrell, but at least Lionel wins a spot because we see Lionel on Champions Row, and he was a challenger. So at least he defeats somebody. They do switch around the order of who wins in the tourney compared to the books. Because the Ashford brothers are actually eliminated immediately in the short story, but here in the show they're lingering. But yeah, but no, it's just a mess up. Like it's just a mess up. Um, The other weird thing is the fucking egg dude. Egg dude makes no fucking sense. Like I understand it's funny, and it's embarrassing for Dunk and all, but why the fuck would a guy not speak English in or speak the common tongue in this fucking market? He's selling local produce. Like it's not like he's selling like silk from Mir or something. Like he's selling fucking eggs and chickens and geese. Like he's a local farmer. He should speak the common tongue. And there's like bowls of eggs. Like Dunk could have just like pointed to one and been like egg. And like what? Even if you were a foreigner, you sell eggs. You know the fucking word for egg in the common tongue. Like it's really quite silly.
So what you're saying is they probably should have got an Asian actor who could have pretended to be from ET. That might have made more
something
sense.
like that. Like why or show that he has a screwed up ear or something. Like his ear is all like fucked up and he's actually deaf. And then don't have the fucking bowls of eggs right there because Doug should have just pointed to the bowl of eggs. Like they're pretending like this is some like foreign market situation. Like I'm in Shanghai, like trying to fucking buy baozi, but it's like no, like he's at a fucking Westerosi like egg seller who doesn't know the word egg, and he's like egg, egg, and he has to like mime fucking laying an egg. Like that's like I think it's purely to set up the embarrassment in front of Tansel, and it makes zero sense. Zero sense. Um, like have him have a screwed up ear or something. I don't know, but whatever. That's comedy ensues as he tries to buy some eggs and talk to Tansel, and then they have a fucking sandwich. They spent a lot of fucking time like cooking up eggs and bacon and like having a fucking sandwich. But Carmine, you were saying, we were talking about this offline, and you were saying it seems like all Dunk is doing is spending money, and he's just like, he doesn't seem poor at all. He's just buying whatever the fuck he wants,
You're telling me that like it's such a big deal that he's poor in the source material, but in the show, it doesn't seem like he is. Like obviously he can't buy like the crazy expensive armor, sure, But he's just kind of giving money to people left and right. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, no.
Here's
In
money
the
for
in the
you,
in
money
the
for
in the
you.
short story, every time he purchases something, he thinks about how much money it costs. You know, he's like, oh, a sausage is only a copper, so he buys one, and he's like, but this, you know, like when he buys the meal at the inn, he's like thinks about how much money it is and stuff like that. And he like doesn't throw a copper to Tansel because he thinks he doesn't want to lose the copper, and then later he feels guilty and he gives her 2 coppers and stuff like that. Yeah. So then we but yeah, I mean, regardless, like I say, this is like Dazed and Confused. Like it's remarkably him cooking some eggs and eating sandwiches with egg is really entertaining and endearing. Um so and then they go to the joust. Dunk pisses everybody off by being tall and standing in the first row. Let me tell you, as someone who does that, people fucking hate it. I fucking do that shit all the time and people fucking hate me. So yeah. Um but let's see. They watch the jousting and then they go and they have a nice little sit, and Egg asks you know, he says like, oh, can I be your squire after this is all done, which is really interesting because somebody asked me last night, like, what was Egg's plan? Did he want to continue being Dunk's squire? And my answer was like, well, I'm sure he wouldn't mind, but I think he was just trying to see the tourney. Like he wasn't thinking that far ahead. But here he's like, oh, let's he's really thinking about life, like running away from the Red Keep and like living a life as a squire, which, you know, he could only do that for so long. But it's you know, I will say bravo, like even though this episode nothing happens until the very end, and it's definitely time killer, time like completely filler episode. It works well to establish a bond between Dunk and Egg, which I have to say in the short story they never really do. You know, they don't do it to the same degree. So I will compliment them there on that. And then there's this disaster, the fucking plumber scene. I have problems with the plumber scene, but my main thing is that it completely takes like all of the tension away from Dunk. Like his whole thing is that he's risking his life on one tilt. And then he befriends Lionel Baratheon, so maybe Lionel will hire him anyway. And he's now the plumber tells him that like you can throw the whole thing and get lots of money and be famous for being a great jouster and get everything you want. And so now there's no tension. And so it's weird because you're shifting from, how to explain this? The original short story is a story where a man who is economically disadvantaged is wondering if he has what it takes physically to be a knight. And there's a subversion of expectations and the plot flips. And now we're talking, it immediately changes to, now he's not talking about his life economically, he's talking about his life. And it's not about whether he has what it takes to be a knight physically. It's about his moral condition and morally what it is to be a knight. Like that's what's coming in there. And so here, like you're getting a subversion now where like I'm risking my life on a joust is taken away for a moral quandary of like, should I throw the match? Which then becomes another moral quandary. Like it's weird to do that shift and then shift. Anyway, like I say, I don't think it's. I have a problem with this the plumber thing that doesn't go anywhere, and this is why I say like Dunk and Egg. This is a really great show, but it's thematically completely off from the book. Like it just does not have. It's just not saying the same message about economics and like being poor and like the risks that the poor take and things like that. He thinks about Ashford's son. Not that it matters, but they've shifted him from being the older son to the younger son, and they've made him continue to be a champion. Even though in the short story he loses his first tilt, but here he wins 2 in a row, I think.
Completely random, but beautiful armor on the horse, on the guy, like absolutely beautiful. Cool. One of the best looking.
The great design, great fucking design. Look at that.
And to be very clear to the audience, the reason Plummer brought up the scheme to Dunk was because he needs Dunk to challenge Sir Andro.
Yeah,
he needs Dunk to initiate that.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't sure Dunk. Like I don't even think
he wasn't sure Dunk would actually challenge him. He probably wouldn't.
Right.
You know? Dunk
but
was supposed
I kind of wish.
Win.
The problem is, I kind of wish Dunk actually had a conversation with Egg about who he should challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's and then we get the.
Also, it's still super weird that he happens. It seems like he's the only hedge knight in the entire tourney. You would think that, like, because the sex workers constantly say, like, well, we see a lot of green boys like you all the time. Where are they?
Right. And to be fair, I think well, I will say at least in the tourney at Ashford Meadow from the short story, you also don't hear about many hedge knights. I will say the graphic novel throws in a couple. But it may also be that people just don't talk about the hedge knights. But the problem here is you're actually seeing the jousts, and there's no hedge knights in the jousts. Like they're physically not there. But I think there's a couple. Like in the comic book, I think does add a couple hedge knights, but it's not that it's relevant. But we don't see another fucking hedge knight. Like Sir Duncan the Tall is the only one, which you're right, is weird when people are like, oh, another hedge knight. You're absolutely right, Carmine. Yeah, and that's the thing is like Plummer says he was chasing away the riffraff, which I mean it makes you so now like we reinterpret that Plummer scene, that was Plummer simply letting Dunk in the tourney because he was a hedge knight and he had the scheme in his mind. But the problem is that like, if he wanted him in the tourney, he wouldn't have sent him on the Manfred Dondarrion goose chase to try to find someone to vouch for him. He would have just said, okay, Dunk's in the tourney, if he had that plan from the beginning. So I don't know. I mean, maybe he just comes up with the plan later.
But it's also quite clear that Plummer takes pity on Dunk.
Right, but if Plummer is taking pity on Dunk, why is he making him find a vouch? Like if he either takes pity on Dunk or he wants Dunk to be part of his gambling scheme, why is he sending him on this like quest to go find someone to vouch for him? It's just, unless his scheme outside of Lord Ashford knowing, because like you might be like, oh, to cover for if Lord Ashford like asks like, why is this hedge knight in? Oh well, Sir Manfred Dondarrion is vouching for him. Oh, okay, but it sounds like Lord Ashford is in on the fucking thing. And actually, so I mean, he has to be because his son's in on it too. So they would all be fine with Dunk joining the tourney. And in fact, in that meeting, when Dunk is like, oh, I want to join, Lord Ashford protests and is like, a sword doesn't make a knight. a sword and shield doesn't make a knight. Like, why would he be protesting if the whole scheme was to have Dunk be part of the fucking gambling scheme? What, you know, and this is, I mean, obviously the true answer is because they're mixing like book lines verbatim with like new plot that they've invented. And it doesn't necessarily make sense when you just like throw it in willy nilly. But, you know, that's just, is there not a difference between opening day and first day? I will say that Egg says the right of first challenge, like it's not just right of first challenge, it's right of first challenge. Like he's very clear. First, you know? Anyway, we get to see Arian's awesome armor, and Arian's a sociopath, so he just like, I do like the actor's like look on his face. Like he clearly doesn't understand like what he's doing or the reaction or how it like he's just kind of giving the weirdest faces because he's a sociopath and he just doesn't understand like how human behavior works, you know. He's a real Jack Basabic, you know, just like a fucking sociopath who doesn't understand human behavior. But yeah, he kills the horse, and then we get the fucking riot. Here it is. He actually first I'm probably gonna make a joke about presenting the shield. So in jousting rules, you have to present your shield. And if you don't present your shield, that's actually a foul. And so in their first go, he actually like removes his shield and the guy misses it. And it's like, that's like riot time right there, you know? Like, but then he comes back and he kills the horse, and you know, the crowd is just fucking fed up, and they fucking go buck wild. And but I do love like the look he has on his face, like just sociopath. Like, I do not understand what I did or like why. Like trying to make sense of like what Arian is doing. You're just like, no, you're just a sociopath.
Do you want to talk about the contradictions?
Which contradictions?
So in episode 2, when the Targaryens come in, everyone's like clapping for them, like, oh, hey, it's the Targaryens, yay! And now like everyone's just so fucking tense. The moment he does the foul play, it's like the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, whoa, where'd this come from? And of course, like, I guess the general idea is, and we know this, Raymond Fossaway says it, if that's the highborn opinion, obviously it's the peasant opinion too. Fuck these Targaryens. They've constantly brought death and wars upon us, but also at the same time...
Also, they killed a horse.
But also at the same time, like, Westeros has been plagued by wars for years before the Targaryens came. So...
It is... Right. So this is an Ira Parker idea that during this period of time, people especially hated the Targaryens because they didn't have dragons. And that the dragons gave some sort of either legitimacy or like was a physical threat, like Death Star hanging over them to ensure like obedience.
But it also doesn't make sense when you come into when you bring up the fact that Maegor had Balerion and he roasted the fuck out of so many people.
And people fucking hated him, and then they rebelled. That's the thing,
and they still rebelled.
Right. Like the public versus the Targaryen period was when they had dragons. The wars that are going on in this period are Blackfire or Dornish, you know, like Dornish, like Vulture King kind of stuff. So it's yeah, I mean, I understand what Ira Parker is doing. I think he's trying to set up like a reason that Egg really needs to get dragons back because the Targaryens feel like they're losing control of the kingdom or something.
It's exactly what I was thinking too.
But it also doesn't jibe with like the fact that Baelor is beloved. Like Baelor Breakspear is beloved.
Mm-hmm.
So is Maekar. Maekar is beloved. Like the hammer and the anvil. They're singing fucking songs about him. Or the fact that like we all think Baelor the Blessed was crazy, but the public loved Baelor the Blessed. Like he was a beloved king, you know, and they loved the young dragon. And like, you know, they all of these like or Aemon the Dragon Knight and all of these characters, like there's all these very beloved characters, like very beloved Targaryen characters all through this period of time. And it just doesn't jibe with the idea that like people don't like Daeron the Good. Like what?
Well, right.
Like,
I was gonna say,
you know,
he's Daeron the Good. I mean, someone seems to like him.
Like I get why he's doing it, but it's kind of weird. Like, you know, they, you know, they, like if you want Raymond Fossway specifically to hate Targaryens, why not? But it's weird that the whole public would hate Targaryens. You know.
This is we have to do a to be continued with this conversation because there is another scene later on that adds to this as well. When I you saw my review, right? When I had Elio's comments up on screen,
yeah,
I had to remove something he said because it was a spoiler for a later episode. But he also makes a fantastic point because Baelor, during the first Blackfire rebellion, there's a character that rides out with him. And then later on, that same character is trashing the Targaryen family. Well, you were riding out with him, so... Plus, Elio also makes a good point that in the books, that was not George's intention. So this does seem like an Ira Parker invention.
Yeah, I kind of have a problem with the idea in the sense that it's sort of saying... It's kind of a fascist idea, though, as well. That, like, you need an iron grip on the public. Or else they're just going to fucking rebel. And rather than like, how about treating the public well, you know, like, and then they won't rebel. Which is like, you know, you'd think that like Baelor Breakspear being a like wise, wonderful man would make a good king. And therefore like that would hold the kingdom together because you have a wise ruler. Versus like we need dragons, like we need our fucking fascist like iron grip on the people, you know. Like
highlight that comment real quick from Sean. It just went up. Scroll up a little bit on the stream chat. That comment from Sean, that right there, right under me.
Yeah. Like at the end of the day, Targaryens are aliens of Westeros and ruled over them as tyrants, no matter how blessed or good in truth that truth remained. But here's the thing: is that like I get like, I mean, obviously like. You know, Ira Parker is also throwing in the word alien because alien means something to American society right now. But like Targaryens, they've at this point they've been in Westeros 300 years. They've been ruling for 200.
Right. Oh yeah, that's true. I was gonna say yeah, that's actually true. Because they were there for a while before they decided to unite the continent. Right.
Right. You know, and it's like they follow the faith of the Seven. Like when he says like, oh, they don't respect our customs. Well, the only like the incest, but they don't even do the incest that often. Like at this point, they don't even do the incest that often. I mean, yeah, I think one of Daeron's sons and daughters do marry each other, but like Baelor the heir is not incestuous. Daeron's not incestuous. Valar is not incestuous.
That's so true. Like he calls them incestuous aliens, bro. Who? They're at this point they're not. Egg's mother is a Dane.
Right.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, he might be. I mean, it's true that like Daeron's kid. No, I'm sorry. Daeron's grandchildren. Rhaegal's children, Alora and Aelor, do marry each other. So, like, I'm trying to think if they're currently married, though.
Aelor? Jesus fucking Christ.
I know. These are, like, padded characters from the world of Ice and Fire. But I think they're actually not even married yet. I think they're too young. But like Daron isn't incestuous. Baelor isn't incestuous. Valar isn't incestuous. Like nobody in the family, like the current family tree, has any sort of like, you know, incestuous nature. I mean, eventually Aerion marries a cousin, but cousin marriage is normal. It's later Alora and Aelor marry each other, but that's about it.
Also,
and like
we should be over this whole thing too, because Jaehaerys' doctrine of exceptionalism, that's a whole thing. That's like some Targaryen propaganda.
Yeah, I mean, it's true that Daron is the product of incest, but the current king is the product of a brother sister marriage. So I'll grant that. So maybe it's that. But you know,
no, that's I don't know about that. It's Ira Parker invention. What are you gonna do? Also, let's be real here. No matter how many wars the Targaryens have, had they not united the continent would have been warring with each other every other fucking day. I mean,
yeah, I mean, but you know, people are dumb. Like I accept that like people are dumb and they're gonna do stupid things. Like they're gonna blame Targaryens for war, even though there would have been war anyway. You know, it's like whatever. I mean, you know, blame Biden for inflation, but don't blame Trump for the exact same inflation. You know, like the people are dumb. I get it, but you know, it's. I still think that like in the books, half the public still fucking loves the Targaryens, like still fucking loves the Mad King, and is like holding out for a Targaryen like return. So it's weird that like they're so unanimously against Targaryens. If it were just Raymond Fossway, that's one thing. But Ira Parker has said specifically that like the public in general is kind of hating on the Targaryens. We get your boy dancing around, with his shirt off.
Lionel.
Yeah,
I love that behind the scenes of Daniel Ings going, I felt comfortable cursing around Dexter after a while. Yeah, he was pretty cool with it. Actually, I don't like to curse. I just do it because it's my job. That's just fucking hilarious. I love that clip.
Yeah,
the kid has grown on me. I gotta say, like, he's grown on me.
How am I missing?
Normally, child actors are annoying, but you know what?
He's so much better in the second and third episode than he is in the first.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and here, you know, it's like there it is, your boy and Dondarrion, you know. What random tent are they in?
I would imagine his.
But he moved his tent. I mean, he might have more than one tent, but he moved his tent to Challenger's Row. Like you see the stag tent on Challenger's Row. So maybe he has more than one tent. Maybe he's got his party tent and his fucking his hey, if anybody challenges I'm sitting here kind of tent. Okay, now we're up to your favorite fucking scene of the whole episode.
My favorite? What?
Yeah, it's here we go. Darth Sidious. Now,
okay, so before you go into this, can I tell you the two most ridiculous theories that I've heard from this? Okay, the first, which one you want? The dumb one or the actually funny one?
I mean, I know them both, but like, okay, which one do you think is the dumb one?
So the dumb one is that this person here is Bloodraven. Because, and if you take the picture I sent you where I brighten it up a little, people swear they saw some kind of like birthmark on her cheek. So therefore, it's actually Bloodraven disguised. I guess that's. Oh my god.
I mean, I know you sent me that picture, and I was like, I still don't see the fucking like. I still don't see the birthmark.
I don't see it either.
I see a couple pimples or moles or something. The other one is
that woman is actually secretly the innkeeper from episode 1, and there's actually some credence to this because the innkeeper is played by actress Jenna Boyd, and so is the fortune teller. They're played by the same actress.
Okay. So they are the same woman, the fortune teller and the innkeep.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, now
To
in
me,
the
it's
same
funny that
way
the
as in
idea.
like actor Ned Stark was later was later a guard on the beach that Davos like kills, right? Like, you know, they're clearly not supposed to be the same guy, but they're just played by the same guy, right? Um, is this a situation where they just had her play a different role, or is
I
it
like
supposed
the idea that the innkeeper literally just followed them to Ashford and put on this fucking poncho and is just giving them prophecies out of the blue.
the thing is the innkeep does nothing decisive for the plot. Like there's nothing that the innkeep does that changes the story. Like she doesn't.
Neither does this prophecy. Who's this for? Is this for book readers?
Right.
Like, who's
I
this
think it's
for?
just that the actress is used twice. Like that's it. They're just like
Yeah.
here's another bone. Here's another
By
job.
the way, so I've of course I hit up Elio and I'm asking him about the prophecy, and I asked him about the richer than a Lannister thing. That made no sense.
Right.
But Nuke Marine sent me this take from a comment section on New Rockstar, and I like this one. So he will be richer than a Lannister in the sense where Sir Duncan the Tall had 4 pages in the White Book, while Sir Jaime Lannister had only 1 paragraph. So in a sense, there it is. There it is.
No.
Oh, come on. Yo, Quentin is alive. There's no shot you can't like that one. Come on.
I mean, richer in the sense that he's taller than any other Lannister. Like, wait. You can do it for anything. What are you talking about? Like, richer. Like a richer history than any Lannister? Like a richer than Land the Clever? I mean, no. Like, what do you want? What do you want?
I asked Elio and he goes, nah, that was just bullshit. She just says that to everybody. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's just that's silly. That's silly. No, I don't see anything in Dunk's history making him richer than a Lannister. That's just not but like that's the problem with the prophecies, is that like when they fit, everyone's like, oh my god, they planned it from the beginning. And when they don't fucking fit at all, everyone just ignores it. You're just like, well, that doesn't make any sense at all. Well, you know, okay. We'll just forget about that. Anyway, Dunk goes in and talks to Raymond, and he gives his fucking hatred of Lannister spiel. Not just him, but his brother Stefan, or his cousin Stefan too. They both fucking hate the Targaryens. Calls them aliens. Yeah, somebody was joking like thousand worlds.
We had to. I remember when this first happened in the trailer. We had to look up, does alien actually appear in the books? They do actually in a lot of Dany's chapters.
Yeah, like some alien tongue or something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Specifically about the Dothraki. Yeah.
There's some words they use that they don't use in the books here. I think earlier in the chapter he says, or earlier in the show he says, "Quit jawing and come and do this work." And I was like, "Jawing, huh?" That's not a word George ever uses, but sounds like it could be, right?
Man, jawing. Why does that sound familiar? I feel like I've heard another fantasy show use that before.
Yeah,
Fuck.
maybe.
Huh.
Tell me. So yeah, here's the thing is, I didn't realize that from the beginning that was Tansel. Tansel is Serwyn of this Mirror Shield the whole time. Interestingly enough.
You didn't know? Wait, what do you mean? You didn't know that?
Oh, from the pictures and everything, I didn't realize it was like you know when we got those, because this was like an early photo, and you were like, oh, there's going to be a dragon with like Serwyn of the Mirror Shield, but it's Tansel. Tansel plays the knight. Tansel plays Serwyn. You know, so the entire time. And she's dressed very Dornish, which I suppose would evoke the Dornish Wars. So maybe Aerion is completely justified because why is Serwyn of the Mirror Shield dressed so Dornishly? He's got a point. I think Arion's got a point. You know, secret celebration of the Dornish resistance against the young dragon and things like that. You know. So
I don't know about that. That's a little bit stretch.
You're right. Like things you don't think Ira Parker was thinking about. Anyway, we get the we then get the fight. I really do like Arion's response. Like after getting punched, he's just like such a fucking sociopath, and it's just like, I don't understand. Like he's so calm, and he's just like, I don't understand why you did this, But I think it's a great performance for Arion. Market like very different from the source material. The source material, he's all angry Viserys. He's so fucking calm and vicious and evil. I think it's great. And yeah, that's the end. And then Egg reveals himself, and somebody asked, like, I don't understand, is when Egg says he cut his hair, didn't Daron cut his hair in the short story? Yes, Daron does cut his hair in the short story. However, Egg still makes that same lie. He's lying when he says, I cut my hair. Daron cuts his hair. Daron cuts his hair because Daron is trying to go incognito because he doesn't want to go to the tourney, and he shaves Egg's head to as part of their disguise. And then Egg lies because he's just like trying to be mean to his brother, by saying like, I did it because I didn't want to be like you. Preston, having read all his books, do you think George's stint in TV helped his dialogue be more iconic? I mean, George had really good dialogue before. I think George got better at pacing with regards after his stint in Hollywood. And he learned to like use a lot of he pulled back on his subversion of expectation. Like his early writing is all subversion of expectation, like trying to be different for the sake of being different and trying to be unusual. And then he kind of like puts a little more of just like general tropes in there that you'd see in Hollywood. He kind of waters himself down a little bit to in a better way. I mean, he's trying so hard to be different in his early writing, and he kind of learns how to pace and be blockbuster, write like a blockbuster writer. It's not an insult, like to say that he like tempers himself to be more appealing to the masses. But I don't know if his writing got better. I mean, the dialogue, his dialogue has always been really good. And I think the big thing about George's dialogue is that there's not much filler. Like he's thinking about every line. Like every line has to be clever. Every line has to be punchy. There's not a lot of like, oh, what'd you do today? Oh, nothing. And there's no filler things of like, well, you need to, or exposition, you need to go off and see Tom, like it's just every line has to be clever. And he just spends a lot of time obsessing over each piece of dialogue to make it clever. And not only clever, but like revealing of the character and stuff like that. And being in the voice of the character. So, I mean, I do think that his TV stint like helped him. But just in different ways. Um, you know, intro song. I thought Rising was going to be a disguised Blood Raven. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like George loves to have the one-eyed dude, the patch guys. He fucking loves them. They're all over the fucking place in Ice and Fire. Like, and so, but this guy does he does predate Bloodraven. The Hedge Knight and Rising came out before George had come up with the Bloodraven idea, or I would say before he stole Michael Moorcock's idea and shoved it into his book, rather than coming up with. But but yeah. So I mean, if Ira Parker is thinking about Bloodraven, it's a retroactive thing, So keep in mind, like when George did the Hedge Knight, all of like the prophecy stuff and the puppet mastering, that's all there, but he had no idea who the puppet master would be. He just wrote a story where there's a mysterious puppet master. And that's it. Medieval breakfast sandwich. Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, people credit the Earl of Sandwich with like inventing sandwiches, but come on, I mean, how hard? Like, why wouldn't somebody just shove stuff in between two pieces of bread? It makes me want to get goose eggs more often. Goose eggs have more yolk than chicken eggs, and so they're kind of heavier, and you can actually see it in the scene. They like crack those eggs, and it's just like all yolk. It did make me want to like try to get like buy goose eggs more often. Be like, oh, okay, what are these like? Like I don't know how often I've eaten goose eggs. I mean, I've eaten a fair bit of goose only because I lived in Germany for a while, and like getting goose at Christmas was like a really big fucking deal. So I had goose a bunch, but very rare. Like, when else do you eat goose? I mean, I had goose in China too. There's special goose restaurants in China, but they like, you know, people going out of the way, like, oh, you got to get goose. Dunk and Egg is Thousand Worlds. They're incestuous aliens. Well, it's true. There's a lot of incest and a lot of aliens in the Thousand Worlds. The theory is that because of time dilations and brands fucking up the timeline, it's old Earth, and that's why old Earth is in isolation in the Thousand Worlds universe. Yeah, you know. But I guess that's where like Risewell with his metallic futuristic patch. He's from the future. Oh, he's saying I grew up doing stuff with my horses like this. They're kind of like dogs. So okay, the horse will come back. That's all fine. Raymond Fossway would send ice after the Targaryens. Yeah, it does sound like that. Raymond sounds like a real. Yeah, he sounds very. I mean, how does he feel about Dornish? I'm surprised he's like cool with the Targaryens, but not so cool with the Dornish.
Did you see at the end of the episode he comes running to Dunk's aid with a sword?
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a blink and you'll miss it moment, but he has a sword with him. Homie's ride or die.
I mean, Raymond. If there's one thing, Raymond is ever eager. I mean, he's like, I'd love to be in your fucking trial, like trial by combat in which everyone will probably die. Actually, Stefan's there too, right?
Mm-hmm.
They both ran in. Does he have a sword drawn?
I couldn't tell, but I'm pretty sure Raymond did.
I don't see anything like that, but yeah, they're in. Um, horse poop joke was funny this time. Yeah, it's true that the horse poops when he asks it to do something. That's the same joke that was in Alien Earth. If you think about it, Carmine, you know what I'm talking about.
Say it again.
At the beginning of the episode, like he um, Egg tries to get Thunder to like do something, and the horse just decides to poop. Um,
Hmm.
in like defiance. But I'm saying that's the Alien Earth joke. Do you remember
Oh yeah, the octopus eye thing, right?
when the octopus eye thing is being asked if like the numbers of pi?
Right, is the sheep, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey Preston, since the next episode is coming early on Friday, will you get the review for episode 3 early as well? Also, you have a very nice voice, and you should be a voice actor. Thank you. I don't. I think like recently, my voice has just been so raspy. Um, the I think having kids ruins it. One, in the sense that you're always screaming at them, but two, like you're sick all the time. So I'm not very good at protecting my voice. That's the problem. I think voice actors are probably very good at protecting their voice. I'm constantly like losing my voice. I mean, you know what I'm talking about, Carmine. It seems like, right? You're like, let's record, and I'm like,
Mm.
I gotta rest. And you're like, oh god damn it. You never lose your voice. What's the deal?
uh, I I I I know it's hard to believe for some people, but I know when to talk and know when to listen. And some idiot was like, Carmine's always cutting in whenever Preston's on stream. Actually, no. You notice when I can mute myself. Like you can see
Mm,
when I'm muted on your end.
mm, mm,
I
mm.
try not to talk as much as possible to conserve my voice. So
Um, but yeah, the
hey,
next
you
episode is coming out on
yeah.
Friday, I imagine because of the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Um,
Are you going to be able to get episode 3 out early? Is what the guy wants to know.
I mean, I've got to fly to America on Saturday.
Mm.
Um, so I will be a little busy. I mean, I'll see what I can do about
So no after
Thursday.
show streaming for episode 4.
I mean, I might be able to do something Saturday night. I don't
Hmm.
know. I mean, I can do pre-show on Friday. I fly Saturday. I might be able to get to do a show late Saturday night, or something like that. You know, so we'll see. We'll see.
The
Flying
homie
into the
wants the
cold.
episode. He wants the episode 3 review. When's that coming?
Oh, I mean, I'm gonna try. I'm working on it as fast as I can, man. People. Um, you know, you got to remember, like I put in my stills, I like write my jokes, I like try to say everything, record the voices, things like that. Try to put it out, try to get it out as quick as I possibly can. And I post it literally like like I when I finish, I then like I mean there's rendering time and upload time and stuff like that, but like you know I do my final listen through and then I post it. That's usually what happens because I just want it off my chest. So it's as fast as I can, man. It's as fast as I can. I understand people are like faster, 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 do more, and it's like I you know I trying, man, trying, but it's tough. It's tough when you got things to do when you got a family and a life and things like that. So um, but doing my best, doing my best. Maybe the goose man was high on werewood paste, on why he doesn't understand anything. He's just like, I'm so baked today. What are you talking about, man? You want me to kill my goose? Just enjoying reacclimating to a Song of Ice and Fire universe through your channel. Great work, guys. Thank you, SLB9702. I appreciate it. Even I can difference between goose and eggs. Yeah, to be honest, Preston's nitpicks are why I come here. Absolutely no one else on the internet is talking about the episode would bring up the lack of language of comprehension of the butcher merchant guy. Bravo, thank you, I appreciate it. Seems more mean than crazy. He's definitely less mean, but he's just more like dark sociopath, like more calm. Like in this short story, he's very angry, like lashing out. It's very clear that he's just a Viserys clone because he actually like brings up like waking the dragon and stuff like that. They tell a particular story in the short story about how Aerion snuck into Egg's bed and like threatened to cut off his balls so that he'd be a girl and he could marry her. And I don't know if I can't remember if that's in the show or not. I don't think so. There was no short story there was no fortune teller in the short story. No. Keep in mind at this point when they wrote the Hedge Knight, like George was probably just thinking it was a one-off thing. It was kind of only later, like the Sworn Sword is where he kind of like all of a sudden decides to world build and create lore. Why did the show add a question about honor that can never be resolved? Dunk never fights an attorney, only in the trial. It's true. We have no idea if Dunk would have taken the deal. I personally think Book Dunk would 100% take that. Oh my God, Book Dunk would take that. Like he'd just be like, yep, okay, I'll pick that guy. Thank you. Like it's a dream fucking come true for this very impoverished dude. I don't know, but Show Guy doesn't seem as desperate. So, but you are right that like this is introduced and it's definitely not going anywhere, Yeah, Plummer didn't have the plan from the beginning. I agree. It doesn't make sense that he would have the plan in the beginning. How are the Sunday, Monday streams working out for you versus just Sunday? Loving the chat openings for your reviews, by the way. Thank you. I mean, Chad has evolved quite a bit over the years, but he's become a great character. The Sunday, Monday streams, I mean, it's fun to do it twice. I do like having like a hard cut, like gotta leave, boom, done, rather than lingering, which is like I do. So I kind of like that they're shorter. But it eats a night that I can do work, like I have so many hours in my day that I can do work. And like, if I'm streaming, I'm not putting together, K7K watch or any of that. So, the fact that I got both out on Friday, that was just like my previous ones, like kind of late, is kind of telling. Because it's like, it's like I have to like make these hard choices. Like, do I stream? And then Carmine's like, do you want to do a podcast? And it's like, well, I can do a podcast tonight, or I can work on the 7K7 watch. And it's like, I can't do both. I only have a certain amount of time. And so yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's fun doing the two streams, but it's, there's costs. There's costs. It was 7 lances. It was 7 lances. Thank you for your support. It was 7 lances. It's funny on the 7 lances thing, because like I feel like the 7 lances thing is pretty fucking tight. Like I have all the textual evidence that shows that like Dunk was at that fucking tourney. Like timeline wise, it's like all fucking there. even the comic book shows him fucking there. And still, like, a lot of people are like, no, I don't think he was there. Like, people like hear it and they're like, no, I just don't think he was there. Doesn't seem like it. I'm like, but specifically, he's been with Arlen 11 years, and the tourney at Storm's End was 9 years ago. And the squire is the one that hands the fucking lances, and the whole point is that Baelor is testing Dunk, and he starts with an easy question, and then it gets a hard question, and you know, I'm so 100% confident that it's 7 lances. But it's amazing how many people are like, yes, I've heard your argument, Preston, and I reject your argument nonetheless. Like, Carmine, 7 lances.
It's probably 4, realistically. Like,
fuck you. Beyond.
You're not ready for that show.
No.
I absolutely love this show. I love it so much, but it's such
Free
a
Run Beyond
journey.
Journey's End. How long is it?
It's about 20 something episodes, but I don't think you would like it because a lot of it is just vibes and just, you know, feel good. Not even a feel good story, but like just traveling and, you know, companionship, stuff like that. It's hard to explain, but it's a very, very amazing show. I quite liked it.
It's new.
Yes, and I actually, I don't know if you recall, but I think in 2023, I put Free Run on one of my best shows of the year for 2023. It was very good. I quite liked it.
So it's funny because you're like, this is really good, one of the best shows you've ever seen, and you're like, no.
But I wouldn't recommend it. But I would recommend it for you. I don't think you would like it.
That's weird. You don't think I'm into good entertainment?
There's a lot of shows that I love that I would not recommend to you because I know it's not your style or your taste. Like, I love One Piece, but I don't think I would ever recommend you One Piece.
Vibes. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. It's quite good. I love it. It's amazing.
Elven Mage Frieren, former member.
Don't. You want me to tell you what it's? Want me to give you the synopsis? Because the synopsis is on that on their site.
Spoils.
You want me to give you the synopsis?
That'll spoil it.
No, I won't spoil it if you want to watch it. But you want me to give you the synopsis?
No. You're saying the synopsis on Wiki spoils it.
Kinda. I can tell you what it's about if you'd like.
All right. Generally, what is it about?
The journey is over. The journey is over. The 4 heroes have defeated the Demon King. What comes next? Free Ren is an elf, and she lives a very long time, but all of her friends are human, and they don't. So what does that mean? How does that come about? For like
so everybody's
remember that one scene in Rings of Power where Elrond goes to see Durin, and Durin's very upset because they haven't seen each other in 20 years, but for Elrond it's like a weekend. It's kind of like that. It's also very much like Aragorn and Arwen in Lord of the Rings. Like the lifespan thing. So
right.
Very good show.
Aliens like from another planet using blood magic, genetic engineering, 1,000 worlds confirmed. I mean, that's all probably true, but I mean, I think if there were aliens, I think the aliens are from, you know, tens of thousands of years ago. Like, you know, when we're talking about these, like, where did Storm's End come from, and like the sand ship and stuff like that, where you're just like, holy shit, what the fuck is this thing? But yeah, the Targaryens, they're so young compared to all the random shit on the planet. Like, it's kind of funny that like the Targaryen invasion is such a contemporary event. Like, when you think about like these long histories and everything. But I mean, maybe that's why, you know, that's a reason that they would hate them. But like, who the fuck are you guys? We've been around thousands of years. You guys have been around nothing. You guys are nothing, you know. In episode 4, the dagger shows Egg a vision of Maisie Sue while Ira giggles at Dunk's earwax. Dagger Watch continues, man. We have no idea if that dagger.
Does it?
Yeah.
Does it continue?
Dagger Watch continues on, man. Dagger Watch, just nothing but daggers. We got a lot of daggers to examine before we get to story's end.
Do we?
At least 5 more daggers.
That many, huh? Oh, sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's at least 2 in tonight's episode. Maybe more. Have to keep an eye out. You know. But yeah, Tansel's holding puppet strings in the book. Yeah, she's a puppeteer. You know, she's tall. It's very good for puppets. You know, it's one thing I've learned about her being the right height for puppets. Why didn't you tell me last night? It was a good speech, sir. I didn't want to interrupt. See, that would have been funny. You're right. You're absolutely right. That they could have fixed that. But the thing is, I'm now I got to bring up like the writers for these scripts, because it's very clear to me that these scripts were written separately, and there wasn't that much communication between the writers of the scripts. So, yeah. So the first episode is written by Ira Parker. The second one is written by Aziza Barnes and Ira Parker. And the third one is all of a sudden, well, Ira Parker's in there. Does Ira Parker throw himself on everything? Hiram Martinez, Annie Julia Wyman. And they write the fourth. The fourth is Aziza Barnes, Annie Julia Wyman, and Ira Parker. Fifth, Hiram Martinez, T. Mickle, and Ira Parker. And sixth is TBA. I mean, it seems like such a fuck up to have episode 2 be like, on the morrow, we will see what, you know, his hand has wrought. Dun dun dun. What's gonna happen next episode? Next episode. Oh, you can't even like join the list, man. Your first challenge. Like what the fucking night joust? And why didn't you fucking tell me last night? You know, you feel like a single writer wouldn't make that mistake, but as you like pass the baton to a new writer, they like make that mistake. Was the epic music at Egg's reveal a bit over the top? So Trey the Explainer messaged me about his mom watching the show. And yeah, his mom completely, by episode 2, she's figured out that Egg is a Targaryen. And so I'm going with like old housewife lady can figure it out in episode 2. She said that the thing that gave it away was the conversation that they were having about his son, about the Maekar's sons being missing. And you're like, oh, Maekar's sons are missing. Obviously, Egg is the fucking missing son. Like, pfft. You know, like it was like at that point, it was given away. So yeah, like the shock that somehow that I think at that point everyone should have figured it out that it was Egg. Maybe there's somebody that didn't figure it out. I don't know. First few chapters of Dying of Light is an early midlife crisis manifesto. Dialogue is not that punchy. Does it get better? Yes. I mean, I think Dying of the Light's dialogue, like Rourke, the character of the Kimdissi guy, it's a weird name, and I can't believe I'm forgetting it. Rourke. What's his name? Yeah, it's Arkin Rourke. So Arkin Rourke has some really good fucking lines um, in the story. Dialogue wise, there's some good dialogue as well later between Dirk and not and the boyfriend, the red bearded boyfriend of the names are so fucking weird because they like Janek, fucking A. But I mean, if you're into like, I mean, honestly, no, the dialogue between Dirk and Gwen is not great. Like they have weird non-dialogue about the relationship. It's kind of really weird. The premise of the book is kind of silly that he shows up and Jenny doesn't ask him, or Gwen doesn't ask him, like, what the fuck are you doing here? And he brings up and he's like, you activated your whisper jewel. Like, that's not the first fucking thing out of her mouth. Instead, she's just like, oh, you're here. And they spend like days not bringing up the fucking whisper jewel. So I want to say that the dialogue between Dirk and Gwen is not great. But there's some good dialogue. Arkin Rourke dialogue is really fucking good, and so is between Dirk and the boyfriend. I can't believe I'm Garth, right? Garce came to me now. Garce. Between Dirk and Garce is really good. And frankly, at the end of this, I mean, it's beautiful. The Dying of the Light has one of, like, it's a beautiful ending. It's a beautiful fucking ending. Dying of the Light has one of the best endings George R.R. Martin has ever written. Like, it's beautiful, beautiful ending. Even if it happens, like, it's a very fast ending, but I highly recommend Dying of the Light. I think that, like, if you, like, I'm not saying it doesn't drag at parts, you know, like, oh, let's go to dinner at Emerald and eat fish at this like restaurant. And there's a whole chapter of him having an existential crisis, like in his room. But like, it's like just for its ending, like George R. Martin knows how to write a fucking ending. And it's a beautiful, beautiful ending to a story. It's, anyway. Dying of the Light. What's the snack your wife buys for the kids that you always eat all of? So I can't eat too many things because I'm gluten-free and dairy-free. Okay, so there's a few things that I can eat of theirs, but obviously like Bombas is probably the one where it's like I know I shouldn't eat Bombas because they're products of Israel and shit, but like Bombas are fucking great. Like Trader Joe Bombas, everybody, you know, and kids fucking love them, but like you open one of those bags and you're just like, fuck, I'll finish the fucking Bombas. But yeah, I mean the boys, you know, they're eating gold. I can't eat goldfish. I can't eat sandwich crackers. I can't eat Ritz. You know, but but if they got some Bombas around, man, I'll fucking eat those Bombas. I understand every puff is like a dead Gazan child. I understand, but like what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? They're fucking Bombas. Everyone be careful watching Carmen's episode 3 review as it contains Dagger Watch spoilers. Fuck, I didn't finish it. Is there a Dagger Watch spoiler?
Oh my! First off, fuck Will. So Will there's no spoilers for the series, but he's saying like how because I mentioned how like there's a dagger that appears that's not the dagger. He's saying that I'm spoiling Preston's video. Fuck you, Will.
Did Arlen become famous after his death because of Dunk? Arlen doesn't really ever become famous. Like even though Dunk becomes super famous. like Jaime goes to Pennytree and is like, I don't know what the fuck this place is. Like Jaime, who knows every knight in the kingdom, who's read the fucking book, like who's read the White Book, like he should be like, oh, Pennytree, this is the famous place where the knight that trained Sir Duncan the Tall was from. No, nothing. Like Arlen becomes forgotten. No one gives a fuck about Arlen, even though he's a good guy, right? No one cares. No one cares. I mean, but yeah, no, unfortunately, if Jaime has no fucking clue what Pennytree is, then obviously Arlen didn't become famous, I watched you going over a Game of Thrones series with a big frown when you talk about all the stuff you don't like. It's like watching your parents fall out of love. No. I mean, I think look, Game of Thrones is a great book. I think that there's weak chapters and there's strong chapters, and I think being honest about which chapters are strong and which ones are weak is good. I mean, but it's fascinating going through a Game of Thrones like slowly with the Game of Thrones, like going over a Game of Thrones, like, because it's like I'd read the book many times, but it's interesting, like when you go like through a fine tooth comb, like, well, let's go slowly. What is this saying? And you just find like, oh, clearly George was phoning this chapter in, or this chapter leads nowhere. Why is this here? I was thinking about when I finished doing a video on like ranking the chapters from my least favorite to my favorite. It's such an obscure like thing, like where people would be like, what? Like whatever. Sansa 4 is at the end or whatever. Daenerys 10 is at the top. It's probably something like that. But there's things that are really good. There's things that you just kind of notice as now that I'm getting, that I've been doing more writing myself and reading people's writing and editing and stuff like that. There's stuff you notice about, like, when George is like thinking about something and really trying, and when George is phoning it in. And there's parts of Game of Thrones where he's fucking phoning it in, and he's just like, well, I need a fucking chapter here. Let's just, which is fine. It's funny because like I will criticize a chapter and I'd be like, this is a beautiful chapter and a complete fucking waste of time. Because it's funny that when George is insecure about a chapter, and it's like, it's almost like the more useless the chapter, the more beautiful the chapter is. Almost like George is compensating. Like he will throw in the flowery language and the atmosphere and all sorts of shit. And it becomes like this beautiful fucking thing. And it's like a chapter that's just like could easily be cut. Like, oh my God. Like I say, like Tyrion 7, A Dance with Dragons, Tyrion walking around Volantis. Beautifully fucking written chapter. Beautiful. Worst fucking chapter in the book. Like, just does not need to be there. So it's not that I'm falling, my parents falling out of love. I'm just, like I say, I really appreciate, like, going through a Game of Thrones, like, again, like, I mean, if anything, it's just like I like the material more every time, and then you also dislike the material more. Like, you just become, there's a I don't know, a more schizophrenic approach to it, or a more realist approach to it, like knowing what's right and what's good and what's bad and stuff like that. I'm much more of a realist with George now. Listening to Preston talk about the episode is better than the episode. Thank you. Man, so many great compliments tonight. I have to say, man, people are buttering me up tonight. People are nice tonight. People are very nice tonight.
Good. They should be.
I know. What flavor do Whisper Jewels come in? It's a good question. I don't know. Thoughts that some represent one of the faith of the seven: Smith, Steely Pate, Maid, Gwen, Warrior, Riesling, Crone, Seer, etc., like Chaucer. So specifically with Steely Pate, the is he the embodiment of the Smith has been brought up before. That's an old fan theory. I don't think that's what's going on. I do think that there's religious imagery, but I talked about this a bit in my Dunk is Coming unfinished series, but Dunk is clearly like Jesus at many points in the story. Like when Dunk kneels to pray, he kneels before Steely Pate, and it's like it's kind of like the baptism, or before John the Baptist, or before Jesus kneeling at the Mount of Olives and things like this. Like Steely Pate makes him kneel, and as a symbol of humility, things like that. So I think there's more of that, of Dunk as Jesus kind of aspect. He's even he's even in his trial, like stabbed in the same place that Jesus is stabbed by Pontius Pilate. I think there's a lot more Jesus imagery in the Hedge Knight than Faith of the Seven imagery. Because also, like, when you think about, is Ira Parker thinking about this? I don't know. Like Crone, Warrior. He does. Riesling does mention the Warrior, but Maid. I don't know. Ira Parker hasn't made it that. Besides like Riesling bringing up the Warrior and Steely Pate being a smith, like, is anything else like really in there? Like, is there a mother character? Is there a father character? I don't know. I don't see any of those. I don't see a mother or father character. You could have Makar, but he's not exactly like going around acting like the father or anything like that. I think if you want to make it fit, you can make it fit, but I don't think
wait. There is a mother and there is a father, and to say who the mother is would be a spoiler, so I won't. But
oh, right. Yeah, I don't think so. I get it, Carmine. But come on.
Nuke, come back with that analysis after episode 6. We'll talk.
Come back with it all. Yeah. I don't think it's something Ira Parker was thinking about. I'm enjoying your the Winds of Winter sample chapter breakdown. Yeah, when I did those, I was surprised myself how much time and effort George put into those chapters. And referencing each other and things like that. Even like, it's amazing to say, like, reread Tyrion 2, The Winds of Winter, and he is like, Tyrion is getting dressed with Penny, and how he's thinking about Shay, and Shay dressing him at the Green Fork. And meanwhile, in the Mercy chapter, she's playing Shay, and she has to dress Babono, who's playing Tyrion, and that and all of these connections are being made at once between them all. George, I mean, because George was also like writing the fucking chapters really fast. Like he was in a roll. Like he was finishing up A Dance with Dragons, and then he was just like writing these fucking chapters. And A Game of Thrones was coming out, and for some reason he just fucking was just burning through chapters. And I'm going through the Winds and Winters sample chapters. I'm impressed with George on how detailed they are and how much thought he put into them, considering how fast he was pumping them out. It's just really impressive. It's really, really impressive. George's like miracle year with the last year of A Dance with Dragons is really incredible stuff, because there's some great fucking chapters that came, and he was just like pumping them out. He was just in the fucking zone. Yeah, and he has not been in that zone since, which is too bad. But the Winds of Winter sample chapter breakdowns, it was illuminating for me to see how much work George put into those. Pontius Pilate didn't stab Jesus; it was Roman soldier. Well, not according to all those fantasy movies I saw with the Spear of Destiny. Look, like, none of this fucking happened. What he would like, whatever. Whatever. You didn't. Isn't there that movie where Pontius Pilate is an immortal because he had the Spear of Destiny in his hand and he like stabbed Jesus with it? None of it fucking happened, but whatever. Yeah, I'm on the Mercy chapter right now. It's amazing how interconnected they are. Absolutely. It's too bad that like timeline wise, there's no way that George can actually like put them in where they should be, which is unfortunate, because there's so many great parallels between everything, between the Battle of Ice and the Battle of Fire and the Battle of Blood and the Battle of Steel. He was in this moment of like, everything needs to parallel. All the battles need to parallel, and then Jaime and Cersei will have their trials by combat, and then they'll be paralleling Arya at the same time. And it's amazing he was thinking about all of that, but I don't think it'll actually like work shoved in, unfortunately, timeline wise. But love the episode. Dunk punching Arian was so satisfying as someone who who's had fingers broken before. Yeah, always feel that, just like that. The breaking finger things. She's gonna have a tough time puppeteering after that. I also think of poor Marillion when Tyrion steps on his hand and breaks his fingers, which is too bad. No judgment. You don't think Jesus was real? I would say that, look, there's very little evidence of a historical Jesus. But if you were gonna make the argument for a historical Jesus, the argument is the Jesus of Nazareth situation is so dumb, like when you try to compare it to the nativity story, that you would only do that if you were trying to fit a real person into it. That Jesus, like if you were making somebody up, why wouldn't you just make up Jesus of Bethlehem rather than Jesus of Nazareth and invent this ridiculously stupid nativity story? And and that argument, it's an okay argument, but at the same time, like, lots of bunch of stories can be made up and then fit together. Like the 12 labors of Hercules, like everybody kind of figured were separate stories at one time that were shoved together. So it's just like, it's not really important. I don't think there's sufficient evidence of a historical Jesus, but if you were going to make the argument, it's because like, it's so contradictory that it sounds like you're taking a real person and trying to make stuff fit, But nah. I mean, it's weird that people get into this whole um, uh, people get really like uppity about like the idea of like, oh, what you're saying, the experts say, and you're like, just like you can read this, you can read the sources yourself, like you can read Josephus. It's not very convincing. Um, it looks like a later edition to me. Um, but people get really uppity about it. Like, how dare you say there's not a historical Jesus? Well, I just don't think there. I'm not saying there is or isn't. There's just not much evidence one way or the other. But
I
you
need
know,
to bring my boy Bear, the pastor. I need to bring him
yeah.
on, not on stream, but we need to do a podcast with him sometimes because he's leftist like you, but
Hmm.
he's fairly religious, and he's read the Bible inside and out. He knows a lot about this, and I would
Sure.
love to hear a
But
conversation between
like
you
I say,
guys.
I think when it comes to evidence, I think if you step back, and remember, you got to remove bias from a situation. Like for instance, there are situations where they've taken a bunch of like Israeli school children and given them stories from the Bible, but changed all their names to Chinese characters, and then who they considered the good guys and the bad guys in those stories were different than when you all of a sudden reveal, oh, these are the the Samaritans, and these are the Judahites, and these are the Israelites, and whoever. Like, given made blanket, like people like um it's outside of the situation, people will make different uh conclusions. So like, you have to step back and say, what evidence would be sufficient for you to think that someone was real? Like, start with that. Like, what evidence would you say proves that someone existed? You know. Well, today we go, okay, well, we got birth certificates and photos. Well, obviously those don't exist. Okay, well, what else do you got? Um, do we have contemporary sources writing about him? No. Do we have a census of somebody like him existing? No. Do we have any writings of his? No. Like, there's really nothing. Like, if you were to honestly say, like objectively speaking, how do you prove somebody existed? And you give the reasons. He doesn't fulfill any of them. But because it's Jesus, we've got to like step back and be like, well, how dare? Oh, well, maybe we should give it the benefit of the doubt. Oh, so many people were inspired, and this whole religious movement happened, and I mean, that wasn't the criteria that you put down first of all. Like if you said, how do I know if somebody exists, and you're like, well, was there a religious movement around them? I'm be like, well, did ISIS exist? Like, what are you fucking saying? So like, step back first and say, what proves a person existed before trying to even tackle Jesus? Like, what evidence is sufficient for you that a person exists in history? Because outside of some kings where we have their faces written on money, and we've got histories from contemporary sources and all this shit going on, like that, like verifies that these fucking kings existed. Like, how do we know anybody existed? Well, we don't have any idea anybody fucking existed. So I just think that, like, that's the important thing, is like, take a step back objectively and say, what evidence would convince you that someone existed? And then you can take it a step further and say, does Jesus fit any of those? And no, he doesn't. But yeah, so that's it.
Really, there's no accounts of Jesus existing from like other people who met him and wrote about him, or like
There's one source that's contemporary, and that's
uh
Josephus. But we're unsure if Josephus's writings were at like there was something added later. The problem is that like, and keep in mind that he's not in the same area, but like I can bring up the Josephus like stuff, but yeah. So this is the Josephus thing, and so Josephus was a Jewish historian who lived in Rome, and he wrote, or his writing has, he's talking about history, and then all of a sudden he writes, "Now there was about this time Jesus, a wise man. It is lawful to call him a man." If it is lawful to call him a man, for he was a doer of wonderful works, a teacher of such men as receive the truth with pleasure. He drew over him both many of the Jews and many of the Gentiles. He was the Christ. And you're just like, that just doesn't sound to me like what a random Jewish historian would be writing about this cult leader. And it comes out of fucking nowhere. Like you can read the stuff around it. And yeah, I understand a lot of historians are like, no, it's legitimate. It's not added. I read it and I'm just like, that doesn't pass the sniff test for me. Like he was Christ. Like, why is he fucking why is he writing he was Christ? Like Josephus? Jewish historian? Like, why is he fucking writing that? That sounds like a later edition to me, but that's it.
We need Trey here with his beardless Jesus video.
No, I mean Jesus. I mean Trey probably sides on the fact that there's a historical Jesus. Don't get me wrong, but like I say, a lot of people do. But I'm a little more hard to convince on stuff. You know,
I'm a little confused here because you have a hard time believing Jesus is real, but you believe Westeros is post-apocalyptic. Homie, we gotta anchor this down somewhere. We gotta anchor this. Storm's End is a nuclear silo. Come on.
Well, I know, man. I know. Preston, any other authors you like that come close to George in prose and language and dialogue? No, there's a lot. I mean, I think that. I mean, if you're looking for somebody that's similar to George in the way they write, the guys that wrote The Expanse are very similar in the way that they wrote that George writes. They're not as good, but they're very similar. His friend Lisa Tuttle is very similar in the way she writes. A lot of his contemporaries, because they just read themselves, like Melinda Snodgrass and stuff like that, they're very similar. But like, do I think like who is? I think there's people that are even better than George. I think, like, honestly, I think Patrick Rothfuss like might be a better writer than George. But obviously, like, he's written 2 books and can't even write a third, and George has an entire like lifetime of writing. I mean, they're different. Patrick Rothfuss is more poetic than George, but. But there's a quality quantity thing, right? Like you can't even produce like, shit like that. I mean, can't even produce a third book.
I brought what you were saying to my friend Bear, and he replied with, tell him Tacitus also talks about Jesus's execution at the hands of Pontius Pilate.
Tacitus?
Maybe I'm saying it wrong.
No. I know Tacitus. He talks about very briefly, not Jesus' execution. He talks about the Christian executions after the fire. Tacitus never mentions Jesus. Tacitus talks about the execution of Christians. But that's later. That's during Nero's reign. Yeah. there's a brief mention of Christians as well in Suetonius as well. I think in the life of Claudius. But yeah, he doesn't mention Jesus. He talks about later Christians. And keep in mind that, like, also let's keep in mind, Tacitus is living at about 150 AD, and he's writing on contemporary. He's the secondary source, writing from previous, like, primary sources, like Flavius Rusticus and Clavius Rufus and Agrippina's diary and things like that. All lost works. And he's bringing up Christians being burned by Nero. Well, they're not burned. They're Christians being torn apart by dogs by Nero.
He says here, Tacitus does confirm Jesus' execution during the reign of Tiberius. I got to get you both on the podcast.
Tacitus's works on Tiberius are lost. What is he talking about?
I got to get you both. I'm sorry. Sorry to the audience. I got to get you both on the pod, though, because I always love the religious discussions. It's always fascinating to me.
Oh, I guess he does get. Tiberius. It's Caligula. Tacitus's Caligula is lost. I don't see any. I don't think Tacitus annals on Jesus. But also keep in mind, Tacitus is 150 AD. Okay, he's not at the time. So that's, like, an important thing here. Oh, here it is. Okay. I mean, he's right that Tacitus mentions this. He says, what? He fastened guilt to inflict the most exquisite tortures on a class of hatred of their abomination, called Christians by the population Christus. Well, this is from his work on Nero. He's saying which thing on that there's something in Tiberius as well. He says the Bride of Rome. No, that's it. I don't see anything on Tiberius that Tacitus does. Sorry. Or he says, Christians by the population whom they have the name or suffered the extreme penalty during the reign of so now I'm understanding why he's confused. Okay. Tacitus, 150 AD, writing on the reign of Nero, brings up Christians and mentions Christus from the age of Tiberius. Okay? So it's not in his history of Tiberius, it's in his history of Nero, but he mentions Tiberius. Called Christians, for whom their name had its origin, suffered the extreme penalty during the reign of Tiberius at the hands of Pontius Pilate. That's yeah. But again, Tacitus, it's also just like Tacitus is you're talking about he dies 120 AD. Like, that's when he's writing his shit in much later. So it's just, there's not, I don't know how we got started talking about the historicity of Jesus, but like
I do apologize to the people who wanted more ice and fire. I just find it interesting.
Right. No, I mean, the one they use that's contemporary is Josephus. Like, Tacitus is 100 years later. What if Summerhall worked and Dunk killed a dragon? Well, he would have been like a hatchling, right? I mean,
I was thinking about this because this is like a whole thing this is like a whole theory. is the idea that like they find a large dragon, like that's not even
Or that people
possible.
are like transforming into dragons, or like their
Hmm.
body, something, like ever since that, the story of um what, Alora coming back from Valyria and having those worms inside her. Like ever since that came, people have like taken the Targaryen like magic to a different extreme and been like, oh, maybe the human beings can, like, maybe Targaryens have like dragon DNA in them and can become dragons. Maybe Aryan Brightflame was onto something. Maybe like Egg was, they were actually transforming into dragon people or something. And there's something even beyond just, because like the boring story that we kind of all assume happened is they had all these eggs out. They had some wildfire, and they were going to try to use the wildfire to like hatch the eggs. And the wildfire is much more powerful than they expected, and it starts a big fire, and they all burn to death, right? But George seems to be keeping Summerhall a bigger secret, as if something bigger happened there than just they were trying to hatch dragon eggs and a fire got out of control. Like there was something else supernatural happened, that maybe there was you know maybe people were growing dragon wings and shit like that. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know like why George's super secrecy about Summerhall, which doesn't seem to be a secret. Like we all kind of know what happens at Summerhall, and yet it's like, oh, we can't write about Summerhall. Can't, no, it's Summerhall. No, no, you know. And if it
He's saving
was,
it for Blood and Fire Part Two.
but even Blood and Fire Part Two, like if it were a situation where people were sprouting wings and there's fucking worms coming out of their bodies, like would the Maesters really write about that? Like, wouldn't they keep that a secret? Would they know about that? Would that get passed on? So just go fucking write Fire and Blood Part Two. Like, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about Summerhall.
Well, he's actually writing it right now. Did you know? Did you? Someone brought this to me. Did you know that this is the first time we have ever gone on a not a blog without either George or his minions ever blogging on the January? It's been 20 years since that last happened.
Yeah, I mean, I think, uh,
Ice Fire fans are insane. They're
no, I mean,
insane.
I think George, something's up. I think George is busy, very busy with personal life stuff, you know, and that's it.
I think he's busy writing Fire and Blood Part 3. He's skipping the second part. So
Yeah.
going straight to Summer Hall and skipping Summer Hall and going straight to Robert's Rebellion.
Do you think they'll make Maynard Plum Bloodraven in season three? I mean, I think so. I hope so. It's pretty fucking clear that Maynard Plum is Bloodraven, right? Like, um, I don't know. Like, I mean, could Ira Parker miss it? Like he might have. I mean, some people are like the way they filmed the four lances, seven lances scene makes it seem like Ira Parker missed the fact that it was seven lances, like, and so he wrote it. And so if you just watch that scene, you're like, oh, it seems like it's four lances, um, versus like reading the story and like figuring it out and being like, no, it's definitely seven lances. But could Ira Parker read the Mystery Night and not figure out Maynard Plum was Bloodraven? Yeah, I don't know. Carmine, what do you think? You think there's any chance they could miss that aspect of it?
Look, man, let's just get through Sword because I don't think we're gonna be able to get Mystery Night. Something tells me they're not gonna okay season three. Like, do you really think the first season is making a lot of money? Do you really think the first season is getting a lot of views to justify a season three? I
I
don't know. I
mean,
know they're working on season two right now. Season three hasn't been confirmed, but I think they overshot by doing a season two. I know Ira Parker says he wants to do 12 seasons, sure, but also I don't know. I I don't know. I need to see the viewership for season one before we even like start talking about anything beyond that.
yeah, it's I mean, it's true. I have no idea. Like with all the streaming services being bought right now, and it being a tumultuous time of mergers and deciding that they want cheaper content. I mean, maybe they'll see this as cheaper content. I would love to see the viewership numbers and the cost and compare it in a benefit, to House of the Dragon. Because you're right, that's just the real question of whether they'll do season 3. I mean, I think
The
they'll do
weird
a
thing
season
is that
3.
the weird thing is that like what's even going on with HBO and Duncan Egg and even House of the Dragon? House of the Dragon is going to finish with season 4. Okay, fine. Will Netflix even continue Duncan Egg? Will we even get to season 3 by the time it gets to Netflix, or are we still years off from
I don't
that?
know. I mean, it's got such great reviews. Everybody seems to love the show. Maybe it will win some awards. Maybe, I don't know. Emmy season.
As for the Maynard Plum thing, you had to explain it to me. I didn't catch it the first time, but you had to
Oh,
explain it to
really?
me. So will I? Yeah, you had to explain it to me a couple years ago. So will Ira Parker get it? I look. He's clearly reading the Wikipedia. I mean,
Right. I
Valar's
think
wife.
if it's on the
So
Wikipedia, there's probably a
well,
fan
I don't think it's on
theories.
the wiki, but like it's one of the big theories, and I think he's pretty much caught up with like all the theories. So yeah, he probably got it.
The right theory has theory at the bottom. It's widely speculated that Maynard Plum is Brendan Rivers.
Oh, is it
That's
on the
on the
wiki?
wiki. So
Oh, okay.
yeah. So we at least got that. We at least got that. This is the last super chat, and then I'm gonna say goodnight. Hey PJ, I'm from Nepal. How was your experience? And if WoW came, what will happen to your fanfic? And talk about other fanfics and your content. Oh, how was your experience? And if Winds of Winter came, what would happen with your fanfic? I think, look, Nepal. I had a great time in Nepal. I went to a wedding in Nepal with my wife. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful area. We went to Pokhara, and it's just it's really beautiful, wonderful, wonderful time there. My wife was pregnant and had morning sickness, and I, for some reason, convinced her to do like the paragliding. Even though she was like, it's gonna be horrible, and I'm like, it's gonna be fine. She puked all over the place. It was like while paragliding. It was great. But I had a fantastic time in Nepal. I have nothing but good things to say about my trip to Nepal. I recommend everybody to go sometime. What will happen to the fanfic if the Winds of Winter comes out? I mean, the Winds of Winter is not going to come out. But if it were, like, if George were announcing tomorrow, like, oh, the Winds of Winter is going to come out this year, like, and he has like a firm date, yeah, I'd probably like stop with the fanfic, and then maybe we could turn the fanfic into like those chapters into a different story, like shift it around, I bring this up a lot, but like 50 Shades of Grey started out as Twilight fanfic. And so she was just writing this Twilight fanfic, and then she just changed all the names and locations and people, and it, became one of the best selling novels of all time, so, so I'd probably, do something like that, make it into because a lot of work was put into it. It'd be interesting to transform it into a different story if the Winds of Winter ever came out. But
if anything, I figured you'd start comparing the chapters you had done with the ones that he comes out with.
Sure. I mean, that would be fun too. But
like I love George, but there's no shot he could do a better job at Davos 1 than you did. Holy fuck, there's no shot.
Right.
Like you'd have to compare your Davos 1 to his Davos 1, and then your Asha 1 to his Asha 1.
And then there's the question of like, do you just like immediately start on the Dream of Spring fanfic? Originally, my idea like I had the fanfic idea in my head for a while for A Dream of Spring. And I was just like, okay, he'll release The Winds of Winter and then we can fanfic that final book. And then it became clear to me that Winds of Winter wasn't going to come. So we'd have to fanfic The Winds of Winter too. So it's, so we'll see. 50 Shades is hot garbage though. Still, you gotta, I respect the craft. Writing a book, even writing a hot garbage book is hard. And it was incredibly well read book, and the movie was a huge sensation and everything. So, but yeah, we're never getting The Dream of Spring. We're never getting The Winds of Winter. So that's fine. We're just gonna keep going. If Euphoria can get 3 seasons, Dunk and Egg can get 3. I think Dunk and Egg will get 3 seasons. There's no reason that Dunk and Egg wouldn't get 3. Like in my mind, there's no reason it wouldn't get 3 seasons because we have material for 3 seasons. It doesn't cost that much money. People seem to like the show. Why not keep going with it? I think once you get to like after that and you're like, okay, well, Village Hero, She-Wolves of Winterfell, like do you do seasons 4 and 5 based on George's outlines for those stories, or something like that. And then at that point, like, we're on to 4th season, 5th season, people get tired of the stuff, but, yeah, money is everything. And it's like, this seemed to be quick and easy to film, single location. You're not going to a million different places. You're not, it's not like Hot D or Game of Thrones where they're filming in multiple locations and then stuff like that. So
see, I can see Mystery Night being 6 episodes. How the fuck is Sworn Sword going to be 6? Like, I can barely see. I can see it being 4 maybe, but damn.
I mean, I said the same thing about Hedge Knight, but we know how they did it with Hedge Knight. They did multiple, like lots of flashbacks. Well, first of all, 30-minute episodes, lots of fucking flashbacks, lots of like added material, Dunk and Egg, like walking around dried out riverbed, flashbacks to the Blackfire Rebellion. Like every time Sir Eustace like tells a story about the Blackfire Rebellion, they like flash back to them doing the battle. I mean, a lot of that. Come on. Oh, George finishing The Winds of Winter and passing away before it's released would just be the most bittersweet George R.R. Martin way. And everything to end. Be like how everyone dies at the end of Star Wars, like how Luke like sends his final like projection of himself and it kills him, and Leia sends her final projection of herself and it kills her. Like George sends his final projection of himself into this book and dies. Like it's just not happening. Like it's just not.
I saw a very I feel like this might go down, but I saw a fairly depressing but somewhat realistic situation what would happen if he did pass. Someone was saying how what might happen is eventually the rights to his estate will pass on to like a next of kin, and the next of kin will probably hire some random high profile competent author to finish it out based off like notes left behind and conversations he's had with his assistants and proteges, and they would put something out, and it would not be as great as what George would have written, but it would be something, and that's how it would end.
Who do you think is going to have a bigger cock, like Sir Eustace or Sir Bennis? But on the serious issue of George, look, man. Carmine and I talked about this the other day about we were having a conversation about J.D. Salinger. And so J.D. Salinger, for those that don't know, J.D. Salinger wrote The Catcher in the Rye and a few other books about this family called called the Glass family or something, but they were like quiz show kids or something. And he freaked out about all the attention that he was getting, and he became a hermit, right? And supposedly he's just been writing all of these books and maybe burning them, maybe just showing them to his friends, burning them, or maybe storing them or whatever. But there was always this thought, and this was my entire life. Like my entire life, people are like, "Oh man, when J.D. Salinger dies, man, we're gonna have this like huge archive of books that's gonna come out, and it's gonna be incredible." And so, lo and behold, he dies a few years ago, and his estate has been arguing and fighting about the rights of these books forever. And I have no idea if we're ever gonna fucking get them because they're just fighting over them forever. J.D. Salinger died in 2010. Like, where are his books? It's been 16 fucking years. Where's his estate? Like, where are these books that are supposedly going to get published? They're still fucking fighting over them 16 years later. So, this idea that, like, George R.R. Martin is going to die and then we'll get to read his stuff, his unfinished stuff then. Like, I don't even know. I don't even know if that's true. Because we still have we still don't have any J.D. Salinger stuff. His widow and son began preparing work for publication after his death, announcing in 2019 that all he wrote at some point will be shared, but it's a major undertaking getting it ready. His son estimated that he'd finish transcribing Salinger's notes in a year or two. All unpublished material will be published, but it's a complicated task. Great. It's still 2026, man. It's 16 years. 16 years. So.
No, yeah. Same thing happened with Prince. When Prince died, he had a lot of things in the vault, and his family's fighting over what to release. So
yeah,
see what happens with that.
Yeah, Stig Larsson. Yeah, did he had a. He had a posthumous book. He had 10 books that were completed and most of a third, and he completed 2, most of a third, but began looking for publishers. Only 3 had been completed. None had been printed. These were published posthumously. So. Stig Larsson is the guy who wrote The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, by the way. I mean, if you don't know his name, you know his work. So, but yeah. Anyway, Carmine, thank you for being with me. Thank you everybody for hanging out. I hope you had fun. Blackfires have small wieners. It's known. Small wieners, but the ability to hatch dragons, man. They go together. They go together. Oh, Field of Dreams would have been better if they left Salinger in it. That's the funny thing is, so this W.P. Kinsella, he wrote a book called Shoeless Joe, which was later adapted into a movie called Field of Dreams, which people are more familiar with. But in the book version of the story, in the movie, James Earl Jones plays a fictitious author, and in the book, it's that author's J.D. Salinger, and J.D. Salinger sued W.P. Kinsella, and it went to court for years, and in the end, the judge ruled in favor of W.P. Kinsella. He said, J.D. Salinger, you are famous enough that you are now a public figure. Your essence is a piece of Americana, and anyone can write whatever they fuck about you. Anyone can write anything they want about you as if you're like Abe Lincoln. For the movie, they didn't want to go into the same like legal trouble, so they just changed the fucking name. But it's a fascinating court case because it brought J.D. Salinger out of isolation to fucking sue that this guy put him in his book, put him in his novel. But yeah. Interesting enough. Anyway, thanks everyone. I will talk to you later. See you next time.